I just I was just playing around with my ukulele, and I must have unlocked something, because I was kind of playing around, and I started kind of figuring out the melody of this children's song that that is for me very closely also, or like that is very, that for many people, at least in Austria, um, connected to learning an instrument, because it kind of goes up the like the note ladder. I don't know what the words in English are, but it goes like this. Um, Wait, am I? Yeah. Okay. Wait. See. So at first, I got so excited that I figured that out, and then I very quickly noticed that I was getting sad, because I was like, at first I was getting excited about how, like, oh, this is so fun, just me like trying things and figuring it out, and kind of sharing that excitement, figuring something out, like solving like I don't know, on my own, and just and then I started thinking about how I so a lot of kids, parents don't have the means to, like, the financial means to send them to music class or learn an instrument or whatever. My parents did. My parents were able to afford sending us to music lessons. But then I started thinking about how just like the way that, like, those lessons were structured, they were never for me. I don't have very many positive memories, um, of my music lessons. The only positive memories of music lessons were in kind of my singing lessons, because yeah, there it's a lot more about kind of figuring it out. It's about feeling it a lot more. But with like learning an instrument, there's just like, or like, at least I don't know, I guess at least the singing teachers I had, I guess there are other singing teachers, but I had really lovely singing teachers, and we've really just there was so much joy in there. There was so much, like, kind of, because it makes sense. I don't know if it makes more sense than with an instrument, but, or like with like a physical instrument that is not your body. But like, if the instrument is your body, then it makes sense that you have to, that it's harder to use that instrument, I guess. Or I don't know. I don't have to figure this out. But basically, I don't know. And then I started thinking about all like how I was aware of all of the opportunities that I had. Like I was aware that I was quite like from from when I was like really small, people told me how smart I was, and how and I also I did kind of recognize that like not everyone was able to afford music lessons, and I don't even know if that was something that like I realized or that I was told, but I always had a really, really hard time practicing, and I guess that's also what was different with singing lessons. First of all, I started later. I started singing when I was 9, and it was because I wanted it to, and not because you're supposed to learn an instrument, I think. I don't know. It just, and then I started thinking about how, I don't know, I've been feeling off all day, and I don't know, and like I had that yesterday as well. Like I've just randomly been feeling off and just sad and just like ugh, or I don't know, and it just takes like first of all, it just takes so much kind of effort and self-talk to be like, okay, wait a second, it's actually okay for you to be sad, it's okay for you to not know what's going on, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And I think but I think what was confusing about it is because I've been, I don't know, I guess I don't know, I've been taking more seriously the task or the exploration of like figuring out what it is that I want, and kind of reconnecting with things that I always like that I wanted to do and be as a child, and I guess I forgot about or I forgot about grief. It just, I guess it just caught, it's catching me, or it has caught me off guard. Like the amount of grief that is being kind of laid bare through interacting with that part of me, and kind of with the like with, because I didn't know, like I don't know if I was even, if I even knew to be sad. I was just so stressed as a child. And I was like, by the time I was 7, I was just a ball of shame because everyone's just kept telling me how smart I was, and how like, I don't know, like self-sufficient I was. So that's, and how like an adult, and like how well I like how I took care of my siblings and everyone around me, and all of those things that people like positively reinforced in me. Those obviously were the things where I'm like, oh, that's who I'm supposed to be. But then when I don't know, God, I'm jumping around. I'm just there's so much grief. And I'm so grateful for the grief. I'm so I guess I know, like, I am 30 years old, and and there's just 25-year-old like grief stuck inside of me, and it's so much more, right? Like, because there's the grief of my ancestors stuck inside of me too that they couldn't feel, but like I was just yeah. So you don't get to to like like learning to love yourself enough to ask yourself and try and actually reconnect with what it is that you want. That will inevitably just come with a bunch of grief, and I of course. So I'm so and and while it hurts, I also know that that's kind of when I know I'm doing the right thing. That's when I know. That's how I know that I'm doing it, because like obviously that has to hurt. Like actually feeling in my body all of the ways in which as a child I felt so alone, and like I was not good enough, and like everything, like love was conditional, and that ooh, okay, obviously that's going to hurt, and I need to, and I'm so grateful for how heartbroken this is making me feel, just like that like unlearning of needing to take care of everyone around me in order to be okay, instead of actually being a child or being a, my own whole, like being a whole person. And the only time that I felt like I was oh fuck you. And now I'm even like, it's hard even saying it because like I noticed just what I was about to say, what I wanted to say was like, there's this part of me that immediately like was super alarmed. You can't like your parents are doing like I can't. My parents are like I was like immediately. I was this part jumping in, being protective of my parents and like being like, no, they didn't do anything. They did the best they could, and like yes, they did, and also, it was not enough. It was not nearly enough. It was not. They did the best they could. And this is not me saying that my parents are horrible people. I'm just saying that they're people and that they they have been failed. They were failed by their parents, by the systems, and I was failed by them and by the systems. And it doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve my parents, me, this like it doesn't serve anyone other than a system that doesn't actually care about human beings. It doesn't actually care about the well-being of humanity, of life. That is the only thing that benefits from me not feeling this, from me dismissing this, from me saying this is not actually important. Because that's how things stay the same. But it is important. I am important in what and I should have never, like, children deserve to know with their entire, like, heart and body and in their bones that they are enough, that they are loved, and that their lovability is not tied to how convenient and how agreeable and how good they are, how much they take care of everyone around them. That is not. And the fact that this experience is not a singular one, is not in, while the specifics in which this played out is unique to my experience because of who my parents are and where I was born and who I am and who their parents were and just like, so like, while the specifics of this experience is unique to me, this experience itself, like the experience that I'm describing isn't unique at all, and it's actually extremely common. The fact that this is the case does not take away from the importance of it. And that's another thing where, like, we think, or we're like, we are taught or told or modeled that if someone has it worse, or if the thing that we're suffering from is something that everyone else is suffering from, that means that it doesn't matter, or that we should not feel that way, which is insane. Like, regardless of whether anyone can relate to my pain, it is valid. But like the fact that so whatever it is, like, this, in this system, in white supremacy, in colonialism, in this paradigm of modernity, it doesn't matter. Like, basically, if your pain is the kind that other people can't relate to, then that makes it invalid or not important. But also, if the pain that you're experiencing is something that everyone can relate to, that also means that it's not important, and that you shut up and just work. You know, like, just shut up and work. And like, it is wild. Feelings are, yeah. I'm feeling a lot better now. I felt like something was wrong with me before. I was like, why can't I just be happy? Why can't I just be grateful? Why can't I just focus on the good things? Because we don't get the good without the bad. And I don't know, I feel like even, I mean, like, it makes sense, like, even in the space, even in kind of liberatory spaces and people whose spirituality is a decolonial one, we still make those mistakes, or we still kind of find ourselves in those mental traps, because that is the world, that is the reality that we live in. That is, it's not the only possible one, but it's a very, very real one. It's a material, an ideological one. Is one that manifests on so many levels, and we're not, yeah, I don't know. And a lot of the time, I think we're so, yeah, I don't know. We don't, yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's easier to talk about stuff like being grateful, or kind of orienting towards joy and desire and want, because we have a vocabulary for that. That is because that is something that is valued in this paradigm as well. But because it's marketable, but grief, like actually feeling grief, processing that, letting that sit in your body, move through your body, that there's like, we in this paradigm, we, like, there's no value attached to grief. Grief doesn't have value, and that's why we don't know how to do it. And that's why it's so hard to like, even if we know that it's part kind of our process or whatever, that's not what we talk about, because it's not marketable, it's not valuable. I mean, it is obviously, like, but like, in like capitalist colonial logic, grief is disruptive, it's dangerous. So there are there are so many systems in place that keep us from I don't know, doing it or finding value in it, because it's dangerous. Because once we start grieving, it's everywhere. Once we connect to the ability to grieve the ways these systems are harming everything and everyone, that's dangerous. So yeah, I don't know. So even in yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to. I mean, everything is connected to colonialism and capitalism. So, am I surprised at that's what I ended up talking about? No, but I still, yeah. The sun just came out. It's been a gray day all day. Like it was very foggy and cloudy, and like earlier when I was feeling off, I was like, I should spend more time outside, but like it looks like it's gonna rain. But now it's very sunny, so I might actually head outside again and just hang out by the river. Yeah, I will do that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.